Did you know there was a time when Darth Maul and Count Dooku both teamed up? In the Son of Dathomir comic, both Palpatine's former and current apprentice actually worked together. After Maul had captured Dooku, he gave him a choice: become allies or die. The Count agreed to aid Maul in killing the Jedi, who were soon to arrive. Obi-Wan Kenobi rushed into battle and was surprised to see the two Sith Lords working together. Dooku used Force Lightning while Maul engaged Mace Windu and Aayla Secura in a duel. Dooku then force pulled and impaled Master Tiplee through the torso as Obi-Wan screamed with tears in his eyes. One of Maul's Mandalorians informed him his shuttle was ready. Maul and Dooku departed and escaped from the Jedi. Have you ever wondered who the first Jedi Darth Vader ever killed was? The answer can actually be found in the novelization of Revenge of the Sith. Gate Master Durak sprinted through the temple so loud that he sounded like a platoon of troopers. He had seen him on the monitor. It was Anakin Skywalker, and he was alone. The huge doors of the temple opened slowly. Anakin immediately asked where Shaak Ti was. Durak informed the Chosen One that she was in the meditation chambers. Durak looked past Anakin, and the night beyond the temple was full of clones, battalions of them. He asked Anakin what was going on, and the last thing Durak felt was the emitter of a lightsaber beneath his jaw. The last thing he heard was a blue plasma as it chewed upward through his head and burst from the top of his skull. As Count Dooku was about to deliver the finishing blow on Obi-Wan, he lifted his red blade high in the air, then brought it down hard at Obi-Wan's head. Then out of nowhere, a green blade stopped it in midair with a shower of sparks. Count Dooku's first thoughts of Anakin Skywalker are explored in the novelization of Attack of the Clones. Almost immediately, Anakin rushed Dooku with such speed that he almost seemed encased in green light. For the very first time, Count Dooku lost his confident smile. He had to react extremely fast and work furiously to keep Anakin's blade at bay. Dooku was on the defensive, dodging more than parrying. As Dooku readjusted his position, he tried to step out to the side, but stopped midway as if he had been hit by a wall. His eyes widened when he realized that the young Padawan, in the midst of that assault, had used the Force to block his exit. As Dooku forced Anakin to dodge and parry as often as he striked, he thought this to be unusual, but with being a master swordsman, he knew it would not be enough to save the young Padawan. Why did Emperor Palpatine hate using lightsabers? Throughout the Skywalker saga, we have seen Palpatine wield his lightsabers with great efficiency, but did you know he couldn't stand using them? Even though Sidious himself had two lightsabers, he believed that the Sith wielded enough power to fight without a lightsaber, but every apprentice still learned to use one as part of his or her Sith training. Sidious felt that he and his peers had outgrown the use of lightsabers and only continued carrying them to mock the Jedi and their order. He ultimately viewed his own lightsabers as little more than just for show and rarely used them in combat. Have you ever wondered why Anakin Skywalker was crying on Mustafar? Just before his wife Padme arrived, in his duel with Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin could be seen shedding a tear, and the answer to why is revealed in the Legends novel, The Rise and Fall of Darth Vader. After Vader completed Operation Nightfall, he would travel to the volcanic world of Mustafar to kill the Separatist leaders. Meanwhile, Palpatine initiated Order 66, causing all off-world clones to kill their Jedi generals. After Darth Vader killed all the Separatist leaders, he stepped outside the mountain fortress to gaze at the lava rivers below. He was unable to hold back the tears that streamed down his cheek, but he would not mourn the lives that he had taken, but the loss of his former self, the young boy who had dreamed of becoming a Jedi all those years ago on Tatooine. How did Emperor Palpatine trick the entire galaxy? The primary purpose of the Clone War was to brutalize the population of the entire galaxy. Palpatine knew that desire for change was not enough on its own. Both the population of the Republic and the Confederacy of Independent Systems had to be made to suffer the realities of a war raging around them. Civilians had to die, and property had to be destroyed. The people of the Republic had to fully invest in Palpatine as they hoped for peace, while the civilians on Separatist worlds had to question whether independence was worth the horror of war. When Palpatine was ready to bring about the end of the conflict, both populations had to be so desperate for that moment that they would gratefully embrace peace. The lore in this video comes from the canon book, The Rise and Fall of the Galactic Empire. This is the moment that Darth Vader realized that he was weaker than Luke Skywalker. During their duel aboard the second Death Star, Vader was impressed with Luke's speed, Before Darth Vader could gather his thoughts much further, Luke attacked, and with much more aggressiveness and intensity. The Dark Lord retreated a step at every slash, forcing him on the defensive. Vader momentarily lost his footing on the stairs and tumbled to his knees. Luke stood above him now at the top of the staircase. Darth Vader then realized that the fight was in Luke's hands now. His son could take his life if he wanted to, and take his place at the Emperor's side. He was completely astounded at the power Luke had acquired since their last duel in Cloud City. Vader's first reaction to Luke's power was surprise, and the second was fear. Why did Count Dooku hate Anakin Skywalker's mechanical arm? Dooku cut off Anakin Skywalker's right hand in Attack of the Clones, but did you know he hated Anakin's artificial replacement? Aboard the Invisible Hand, Palpatine and his apprentice discussed converting Anakin to the dark side before he and his master Kenobi would enter the room. Dooku questioned Sidious if Skywalker was truly the man they needed. Dooku thought it would be best to just kill him instead. He thought of Anakin as a danger to both himself and his enemies. He even thought Anakin's artificial arm was revolting. Since he lost his arm, Dooku saw the boy as a blend of droid and human, and was completely disgusted by the thought of him on their side. Later, Dooku would underestimate Skywalker and his arm, and it would ultimately be his downfall. Why did Palpatine need Obi-Wan Kenobi dead? Before Dooku's duel with Skywalker and Kenobi in Revenge of the Sith, Dooku would ask his master Darth Sidious for one last chance to turn Obi-Wan to the dark side. Palpatine knew Dooku had been interested in Kenobi for a long time. Count Dooku looked at Obi-Wan differently because his master Qui-Gon was his Padawan. Dooku almost saw Obi-Wan as a grandson. Sidious denied it immediately, telling his apprentice Kenobi was too old and poisoned by Jedi fables. He told Dooku that Kenobi must die today at his hand. With the death of his master, it may be the final piece to break Anakin Skywalker, allowing him to pledge himself to the dark side of the Force. What were Anakin Skywalker's first thoughts after being burned on Mustafar? With the single swing of his lightsaber, Obi-Wan had severed his former best friend and Padawan's legs at the knees, as well as his left arm. Anakin struggled to keep his head from the smoldering sand. His eyes began to blaze with fury as he glared at his former master Obi-Wan Kenobi, who stood above him on the rocky slope. Anakin was able to sight his fallen lightsaber, but was unable to focus his powers to grasp it as he watched Obi-Wan bend down to pick up the lightsaber and then walk off. Anakin yelled that he hated him as his torn tunic caught fire and he was immediately engulfed in flames. Only his extreme powers in the Force kept him from blacking out. Only his immense hatred for Obi-Wan Kenobi made him want to continue to drag his scorched remains up the rocky slope. Why did Darth Vader hate breathing? We all know Darth Vader's ominous breathing is iconic, but did you know Darth Vader actually despised breathing? As Vader allowed his lungs to fill with air, he knew the medical droids that assisted him in his transformation truly had failed him. The ventilator was implanted into his hideously scarred chest, along with tubes that ran directly into his damaged lungs, as well as other tubes that entered his throat. This was done in case the chest plate or belt controls developed a glitch. Vader could breathe unassisted, but only for a limited amount of time. "This is not breathing," Darth Vader said to himself. The monitoring panel on his chest also beeped frequently, and for no apparent reason, and the constellation of lights served only as a steady reminder of his vulnerability after his loss to Obi-Wan Kenobi on Mustafar. Why did Emperor Palpatine create Supreme Leader Snoke? In The Rise of Skywalker, it is revealed that Palpatine synthetically made Snoke, but what was his true purpose? Shortly after the Battle of Exegol, the Resistance discovered the various vats in the laboratory and even found the various Snokes, which appeared to be failures. They realized that Snoke did not discover the First Order and take control of them by chance. He was created by Palpatine for that express purpose. An additional part of Snoke's, and therefore Palpatine's plot, was to try and lure Ben Solo to the dark side, weakening the Jedi cause, led by Luke Skywalker. Even in his arrogance, the defeated Emperor could not bear to allow his new empire to be under the control of anyone but himself. Why did Emperor Palpatine love Darth Vader's suit? Although Vader was much weaker after his loss to Obi-Wan Kenobi on Mustafar, did you know Sidious was actually pleased with Vader's new look? When the medical droid informed the Emperor Vader survived the construction, Sidious was eager to see his apprentice. He entered the operating room where a black figure lay on the operating table. Gloves and boots covered the new mechanical limbs, and a shiny black mask hid Vader's scarred face. Palpatine was impressed with the menacing appearance of the suit. Good, Darth Sidious thought, Darth Vader would terrify the galaxy, saying that even though Vader was weaker than he had hoped, he would still be far more powerful than anyone else. Did you know there was a time when Kira fought Darth Vader and actually survived? At the Crimson Dawn auction of Han Solo, Kira tells Vader that the Empire can have Solo for a high price. Vader says she is owed nothing, as Kira calls the Empire weak. Enraged, Vader ignites his Crimson Blade, and the two begin a duel. Darth Vader immediately recognized the lineage of her instruction and asked Kira who her master was. She responded, saying someone who knew about him, as well as Palpatine. Of course, Vader had no idea her master was actually Darth Maul. Vader then proceeds to force choke Kira and slam her against the carbonite slab, holding Han Solo. He was about to deliver the killing blow until he sensed his son, Luke Skywalker. How did Palpatine's lightsabers mock the Jedi Order? Although Darth Sidious rarely ever used his lightsabers in combat, did you know both his lightsabers were actually insulting to the Jedi? Palpatine had two secret lightsabers, and both of them were constructed to be offensive and disrespectful to the Jedi. Palpatine used Electrum in his sabers because Electrum was known to the Jedi Order as a symbol of mastering the Force. The Jedi Master Mace Windu was one of the few Jedi ever known to use Electrum in their lightsaber. As seen during the prequel trilogy and the Clone Wars, the Jedi were unable to sense Palpatine's true identity. While Darth Sidious was the Chancellor of the entire Galactic Republic, he secretly was mocking the Jedi the entire time. This is what happened when a Jedi revealed Darth Vader's true identity. On the planet Coruscant, clone troopers had found the location of former Jedi Chief Librarian of the Jedi Archives, Jocasta Nu. The clones blasted her lightsaber out of her hand and had her surrounded. Instead of giving up any Jedi information, she let herself fall to the depths of Coruscant, but she was shocked when she realized she was being held in the air by Darth Vader himself. Aboard an Imperial gunship, Jocasta insults Vader by saying Palpatine will eventually replace him with another Force user. The clone standing beside the Dark Lord requested to stun her, and Jocasta Nu calls the clone trooper an idiot and says he is literally taking orders from a Jedi, telling him that Vader is Anakin Skywalker, a Jedi Knight. Darth Vader immediately throws every clone trooper out of the gunship and proceeds to ignite his lightsaber and end the Jedi. Did you know there was actually a time when Darth Vader force-choked Jabba the Hutt? As Darth Vader attempted to enter Jabba's palace, two Gamorrean guards immediately crossed their weapons to block the Sith Lord from coming any further. Vader easily cut them down and ordered Bib Fortuna to tell Jabba he wishes to speak with him. Jabba asks Darth Vader what can he do for the Empire, but Vader quickly responds, not for the Empire, but for him, telling the Tatooine crime lord it is personal. Jabba then insults Vader by telling him not to try a Jedi mind trick on him, but Vader says the Jedi are all gone, and he is the reason why. The audience behind Vader fires upon him and are dead in seconds. Vader then quickly chokes Jabba, telling him mind tricks are not the way of the dark side. The Sith prefer Force.